Hello, everybody. How's it going? Okay, just getting used to this Essentials Light with StreamYard. It's slightly different than what we had before, a little cheaper, whatever. It's expensive, but anyways, uh, kind of back. Hold on a sec here. I don't know why. Okay, let's see. Okay, I just want to give a quick shout out to people in chat. Mark, Joe, Cal. Glasgow Dave, how are you? Winnie, how are you? Who else? Liam and Tracy, Cal, and everyone else. If I've missed you, hey, only me and the Doug. Doug, how are you? Um, I don't know how long I'm going to go for this afternoon. I just wanted to come on and kind of just test out this new StreamYard thing. It's like a light version of the full version or whatever. Hold on a sec. I just want to make sure. Are you guys hearing me okay? Hopefully you can. You're hearing me okay. It seems like it's okay. Looks okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to start off with a little news. Some of you already know, but myself, I was diagnosed with a detached retina. And I know you're going on and saying, hey, how come you're not fucking having surgery and your eye looks okay and everything else? That's the weird part. That's the really weird part. I went in for a routine eye checkup, and the optometrist saw in that eye there, the left eye, that there was kind of like something weird, like a spot or some shit like that, and referred me to another optometrist. Went to that optometrist, and he was saying, "Well, yeah, it looks like it's old, but yeah, you might want to have to get the surgeon and take a look and see what he has to say." So about 4 hours the next day in the hey Lozzie, how are you? 4 hours in the surgeon's office going over my eyes, both my eyes, but my one eye, obviously, it is diagnosed as being detached. But when it happened, I don't know. This is kind of weird because I haven't had any symptoms, no symptoms whatsoever, nothing. Kind of weird, and the weirdness keeps going on and on and on. But he basically said, "Yeah, you've got a detached retina, but because you have scar tissue, it's holding it in place, so it's stabilized." Hey, Sab, how are you? It's stabilized. So what's that mean? What's that mean that it's stabilized? So essentially, okay, there's laser surgery where they just go in and they just zap it and literally create scar tissue to hold the retina in place. Excuse me, or close up the stitch or the tear, if you will. And essentially, my body's already done that. So I can't have like laser surgery to correct it because it's already done that way, which is kind of weird. So okay, so what's that mean? Do I have to have surgery, like retina surgery? And that's essentially what I have to have. But I can also keep an eye on it, no pun intended. Monitor it, and the surgeon was saying, yes, I've had plenty of patients that have gone on for years with this condition and not have any issues in terms of the retina detaching, um, because of the scar tissue. Let's face it, the scar tissue really doesn't ever go anywhere. So I don't know. I guess that's the gig. Keep an eye on it. Hopefully, it doesn't completely fall. And cross your fingers, guys. that doesn't happen, and we're good to go for a while, anyways. But I have to see the surgeon back. I have to see the surgeon again in 3 weeks. So we'll see in 3 weeks. Hopefully nothing's changed because I don't know how long I've had this for. I mean, it wasn't detected 2 years ago when I had my eye exam. Then, I mean, is there a chance that she missed it? Possibly, but most likely it happened within the last 2 years in between the eye appointments. So that's that. So hopefully things stay stable for a long time, I guess. Anyways, that's the way it goes. Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. So
Not
I thought
too
I'd come in at a time when it was sort of reaching some sort of natural
bad.
point.
No, like I said, I'm just on for the heck of it today. I just wanted to like, I guess, see what this StreamYard Essentials all about. I mean, we had the full version. I said, fuck, I don't want to pay for it anymore. And then they offered me this, but it's okay, I guess. Can't complain.
Yeah,
Can't complain.
yeah.
Where did Seth? Where did I get my skull from? Oh, this guy right here. Seth is asking me where I got that from. That actually a friend of mine made that from the casting of a real skull. Cool. Yeah, a friend of mine made it. So how are you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's new and exciting?
Repaired my boat. It seems to be holding air, so I've pumped it a little bit harder to see whether it still holds air. That was a monumental job. It took about 3 days total. I put a patch on it, and then it was leaking out the side of the patch. So I put an even bigger patch on it, and it was still leaking out the side of the patch. I was like, Jesus, this thing, the whole seam's gone. So I went like, right, I'm going to patch the whole seam. Seems to have done it. Mm.
Yeah, and I noticed you posted a little message there saying that you have the part two of your thing coming up because forgot to insert a video or something.
Yeah, I'm uploading it as we speak now because I forgot a bit of the telephone exchange technology because I put an insert slide saying remember to put the telephone exchange how it actually works
Yeah.
because what we were seeing was not the full extent of what was there. They were just plug-in slots where you'd actually plug in the switches, and all the switches have been pulled. So all we were seeing was just the plug points. So I wanted to show people what was really meant to be there. But yeah, I'm re-uploading it now. There's no point, kind of doing a silly thing where there's like a 4-minute black slide in the middle of the video. It's a bit silly.
Yeah, and I just glanced over. I got to watch the full episode where you guys you're going into that little warehouse that you guys stumbled upon. And
Yeah.
I was just
Uh,
watching you guys sort of like on the boundaries, trying to figure out how to getting entry point or whatever.
yeah. I did actually expect some of the people who are like the members to pick up on it and let me know, but it was only once it went live, somebody said, "Oh, did you know you got a mistake in the video?" And I'm like, "Oh shit,"
Yeah.
So that everybody else, all the members, should have told me, but never mind. Yeah,
They're slacking. They're
yeah,
slacking.
mm,
They're
yeah.
slacking. Oh man. So yeah, that's intriguing. So it's kind of a little bit different topic, but did you hear about this kid that what was it? That one chip challenge?
One chip.
It's called the One Chip Challenge. Is by a company in the US called Paquet or something. And they make a chip and they put it in a coffin. And this chip is ramped up on capsaicin, right? So it's like chemically soaked with the chemical that makes peppers naturally
Yeah,
spicy. So this thing is like extracted from Carolina Reaper and I think some scorpion pepper, And I remember having one of those chips a couple of years ago. It wasn't quite as hot as this one, but essentially all you have to do is eat the chip because there's only one chip, and see if you can last for 5 minutes or something without, caving and, having something to drink and blah, 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 totally collapsing. But most people will collapse after only eating like half the chip if they're lucky. But this 14-year-old kid ate the chip and died.
No.
Died.
Anaphylactic shock or something.
Yeah, like I mean, the chip, the box has warnings all over it. Make sure that you're able to do this, and these are the possible side effects, and what may happen if you um ingest this chip, and blah 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 blah. And I remember when I ate the chip myself, I was like, wow, holy crap! I love hot peppers. I love Carolina Reapers, and I can handle them, but this chip was just insane. Um, I think I ate a gallon of, or well, 1 liter of yogurt. I just had to.
Hmm.
It was insane. That lime yogurt actually works well, but oh man, it was brutal, brutal. Yeah, if you go and look on YouTube and anywhere else, you can see this one chip challenge, and see the people. It's just hilarious how much torture
I,
these people go through.
I'm guessing by chip you mean crisp, what we would call a crisp.
Yeah, yeah, crisp. It's like a
Yeah.
tortilla chip, like a tortilla
Right.
chip is, right?
Yeah.
And or corn chip, whatever. And it's a size. It's a fair size. It's a big chip, but it comes in a sealed package, and it comes in a coffin, right? And the coffin, has all these warnings on it saying, you're about to, ingest something that could possibly, if you have heart condition or any other sort of condition, we recommend you don't ingest this chip or crisp
Hmm.
over there, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Well, I
insane.
still think there'll probably be a lawsuit from that, but yeah.
Well, I know they pulled the chip from they pulled it from the shelves, the remaining chips,
Mm.
and
Oh,
it was distributed all over the U.S. and here in Canada. It never used to be in Canada, but now this second year in Canada, I think. I don't know. No longer pulled it off the shelves. So I don't know exactly. I'm not up to speed on the autopsy findings, if they are figuring it was actually the chip that caused it, or if the kid had some sort of underlining issue that caused it. I don't know. I have to look it up, but crazy crap. Crazy,
yeah.
crazy. What's what's the
Yeah.
hottest what's the hottest pepper you've ever ingested?
I think I've had those, like, is it Carolina Reapers or something like that?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Or
Ripers, yeah.
ghost somethings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got some of the strongest stuff, and I was like, I was just like licking it out of the bottle, So like, yeah, it's quite cool.
I get a kick out of some of the videos. Some of them will eat the ghost pepper was notorious for sneaking up on you. That's why they call it a ghost pepper.
Mm.
And these just watching some of these guys, they'll just ingest a whole crap load of them, and you know, within minutes they're on the couch and they're total pain. Oh my god, my stomach, my mouth is burning, and they're like that for like an hour or two, man, because they're so screwed.
Mm.
And these are tough, big tough guys, they look, oh, I can handle it, no problem, no problem, and they're the quickest ones to hit the couch.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
you probably noticed I'm not drinking beer at the moment. I haven't got any, so I'm on the coffees
You're
instead.
on the coffees. I just
Mm.
figured I'd treat myself.
Highballer pumpkin. Right. Treat yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a bad beer. I don't know. It's interesting,
Cool.
intriguing. I went into actually yesterday. I went into a uh, an English pub here, an English style pub
Yeah.
that was built in the 1860s, and they're closing down on the 16th. After 30 years, I guess the owners that had it for 30 years and turned it into the pub are closing it down, which is kind of sad because I mean, when you think of an English pub, I mean, I have never been to an actual English pub because I haven't been over there yet. But from what I gather, this sucker looks, and it kind of from a lot of people that I've talked to in the pub who are English from the UK, and they come. This is a proper pub.
Mm.
The food, the menu, and they have tons, obviously, tons of the brews that they have on tap are from the UK. And blah blah blah, and it's been there for quite a while, so it's sad. But I mean, over there, Matt, there's a lot of pubs closing up shop, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's too bad. It's really
Yeah.
too bad. So, you are beerless.
I am at the moment. I
Yeah.
could go down the road and get some, but yeah, I was just editing, getting some footage ready of 360 camera in the Ridimune mines. I was going to edit that, get that out, as well as re-uploading the re-edited bit of footage. So yeah,
So you went into some mines. Sorry, mines? Did you say?
yeah, it was a proper tour guided visit to some mustard gas factory mines in North Wales,
Oh wow.
and it's the only place that Germany didn't know was on the map, so they didn't bomb it because they didn't know it was there. And it was
Yeah.
also the very first place in the UK where they were starting to do refining of, I think it's probably like uranium to make plutonium, so they could, like weapons grade, so they could have the atomic bomb. And yeah, that started in this place as well. That's the very first place in the UK where that work was undertaken, and then that research went over to the United States to help build the first atomic bomb. And then America, once they let it off and they had all the answers, they said, "We're not sharing the secrets of the results with you because now we're going to develop it. And no, you're on your own, UK, even though you started us off with this stuff, then." I mean, I was just watching Oppenheimer, the movie last night, and it's kind of interesting, controversial
Yeah.
character.
I have to see
But
it. I do have to see that movie still.
yeah, but I
I
mean, they America just sort of claimed, like credit, like it was us. Like, I mean, I think most countries do this, don't they? They say like, oh, India's probably like, atomic bomb. Yeah, we invented that first. It's like, yeah, right, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty cool flick, and I know a lot of people that I know have seen it, and they absolutely loved it. So it's
Mm,
it's some people have a hard time, I guess, watching these. I guess it's essentially a biopic, right?
mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have a hard time watching biopics. I guess because they really don't have a clue on, half the people that these biopics are about. But I mean, it's a good way to get introduced to these characters from a certain standpoint.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you were familiar with the character before. I mean, the person in
Yeah. Robert Oppenheimer. Yeah.
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
and I think he goes into like von Neumann, sort of like quantum physics. They were looking at quantum physics back in the like the 20s. They started
yeah.
looking into that sort of stuff, and it was all theoretical. So and Oppenheimer didn't believe that you would be able to make a bomb out of it initially, and then it's kind of like he was like, "Oh shit, this is going on." Okay, yeah, I think we can make a bomb out of this. Oh shit. Yeah.
So what yeah, like I was going to, yeah, watch that. There's another flick that was coming out soon that looked pretty interesting. Oh God, can't even think. I haven't been to the theater in so freaking long. I'm gonna get.
Mm.
I have to go out and watch a movie. I really do. Well, this time of the year I usually do when it starts to get a little bit cooler and shit. But um,
Well, cinema's
so
dying, isn't it?
it.
Cinema's dying. I saw a round table meeting with like Ridley Scott and a few other directors, like the Revenant director and oh, what's his name now? The one who did the Snatch and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, yeah, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels.
Yeah, that's it. Like Danny Boyle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Danny Boyle,
Danny
yeah,
Boyle. And they were all sitting there, and they're saying like cinema's dying, because they're releasing movies that are kind of generic. There's no real kind of like, well, do I really need to see this on the big screen, or can I just wait a bit and just watch it in my home and much more comfortable and don't get ripped off. So the directors themselves were saying it because they made a point that up until fairly recently in the States, it was always $5 to watch a movie. It was just like it was a given. It was like
yeah.
$5 to watch a movie, and then it became $6, then it became $7, and it's like, oh well, the UK's way beyond you on that one because it used to be it used to be £5, to
Yeah.
watch a movie, and then it became like £10, and then it was like £13, and £15. In some places, it could be like £20 to watch a movie. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
So,
It just increased like
mm,
crazy. I mean, they'd always have that, like say for instance a Tuesday night thing where you can go like Tuesday nights $2 or whatever.
yeah,
And then even that raised. And then they brought out these budget cinemas. But I mean, what was the big fucking deal? Okay, sure, they're not up to par with some of these high end theaters, but still, they presented the movies and whatever at the time, surround sound, Dolby, blah, THX, whatever the hell they had at the time, right? And
yeah.
now, of course, it's all so much more
Digital.
advanced now, digital, right?
Yes, it's digital, but like lower quality than the film, because Christopher Nolan was on there, and he said like the reason I shoot, and Quentin Tarantino said the reason I shoot like 60 millimeter and 70 millimeter is because it's higher than the stuff you can get at home. It's higher than 4K, so
Yeah,
this is really high quality. So you're getting to experience that really crystal clear image, and like a lot of cinemas are just 2K. You've got 4K in your house. And it's
yeah,
2K in the
yeah,
cinema. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and they're
yeah,
making you pay big bucks for it.
yeah.
And even with Blu-ray, even the cost of Blu-ray is a joke.
Mm,
They're so overpriced. And then
yep.
and then even some of the more niche titles can run you, well, here anyways, like 40-50 dollars.
Yeah.
you know it's ridiculous. you know
Yeah. If I ever buy a movie, I wait, until it's like the prices come down and then just pick it up for like $4 or $5, because it's why should you pay through the nose? And it's cinemas being killed by the people who are greedy, who are trying to run these cinemas. They got all these staff, they don't need the staff, and it's like just run it quietly and small, and then charge people less. And they're like, no, we're gonna have all these suites and this and that and all these staff, and it's like, and you're gonna pay. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna pay. Sorry, not happening.
well, now you got VIP service here now where you can go into a theater and they'll come and they'll serve you booze or whatever else, beer or drinks, blah blah blah, these
Mm,
higher end food options. You still get your popcorn. Come on. What's a movie without popcorn? Come on. You got to have popcorn,
yeah.
right?
But it's just a ridiculous price of like, a drink is like $3, three 3.95, so probably like $5-6 or something like that, like for a frigging drink. And yeah, most people just sneak their own stuff in because they're not going to pay those sorts of prices. So they just don't get it. Like, it's the cinema companies are killing cinema. They're killing
Yeah.
themselves. They've been shutting down. There have been major chains like Empire Cinemas have had to close a load of their cinemas. Cineworld has closed most of their cinemas. Like Odeon's probably on
Oh
the
yeah.
rails at the moment, and it's like they're all the big guys, and they will not reduce their prices. A little while back,
No.
they said £5, big adverts for it, £5 to get in and watch a movie. Lasted about a month, back up to £15.
Wow.
Yeah,
Incredible.
bait and switch, and they play
Yeah.
this stupid trick as well, where if you book online and pay for your tickets online and pay an extra fee to book online,
Yeah.
it works out at about £12, £10. But if you walk in the door and buy the ticket there, 15, £16. So they whack on a £5 fee, for just walking in the door and buying your ticket in person. So they want you to use the online service to get the discount. And it's like, so you're ripping off the just guy who's just walked in
Well,
when
not
he could
only
just
that,
do it
you're
on his
taking
phone and save a fiver.
yeah, and you're taking away jobs as
Yeah.
well. The
Yeah.
people's jobs. It's like walking into a supermarket, a grocery store, whatever, with the U scans. Same thing.
Yeah.
You know, when are they going to start charging a fee to use those?
Yeah.
uh, we'll just say it's free right now until you know it's
Yeah.
ridiculous. Everything is automated now. Automation is
Yeah.
uh is the way things are going. And it's like online banking. We don't want you to go into a bank and deal with a teller, right? We want you to use the bank machines. We want you to use online banking.
Yeah.
Same thing.
I
It's
mean,
ridiculous.
IMAX is only 4K because they use two 2K projectors, and then they can produce a 4K image. So, like, it was shot in IMAX by Christopher Nolan. Is it Dunkirk? I think it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dunkirk.
And
Yeah.
but of course they're showing it to you in 4K, but IMAX is about like 18K resolution.
Hmm.
So why doesn't IMAX develop a 18K digital projector? Why don't they do it? Why don't they do that? Because it's like, and then I've written to them and said, like, this is shit. And I wrote to Dolby and said, like, why do you got to license all this like Dolby stuff? So it stops the home user creating Dolby files. You want like $300 for a plugin to make the Dolby files and stuff like that. And Premiere used to have Dolby Digital. You could make the thing. And then Dolby said, nah, licensing. So Premiere went, right, we remove that then. Take it out then. And it's like, greedy companies. You want people to adopt the format, but you won't give them the tools to make stuff with it. So yeah,
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. It is. I mean, you become used to something, and they bait, like you said, bait and switch.
Yeah.
They change things up, and it's like those stupid air freshener things, those Glade plug-in things, whatever the hell they are, and you gotta buy these certain bulbs to switch in there, or these little tray thingies that they put in with the scents. And
Mm,
you buy one, and then a couple weeks later they change it and they modify, and then you're gonna start, but you got to buy a new one.
yeah.
It's like, wow, I've been buying this for ages, and now you change it on me. What the hell? Either
Mm,
that or change the what you would call it, the packaging, right? The packaging is the
mm,
best. The packaging is the best. For instance, you've been buying a coffee for so long, and then all of a sudden they downsize the package and they change the packaging a little bit, like the logo or something on it, but it's the same coffee. But then people are like, nah, it tastes different. Doesn't taste the same. What the fuck are you doing to me? you know 30
yeah.
years of drinking this coffee and it tastes different. No, sir, it's the same coffee, just a different look. Does it say improved flavor? No.
Yeah. But
Uh,
packets of crisps with air in them is one that really bugs me. Like, just
yeah.
fucking. I'm buying a bag of air with some crisps in the bottom of a big packet this big, and it's got a few crisps in the bottom. Yeah, like, great,
Ones I
nice.
like. Ones I like, and they do. I find they do have more in them. Matt are from the UK, from Space Raiders.
Mm,
I
yeah.
love those things, man, and I find they
Yeah.
have quite a bit in them, even for the small bags that they have.
Yeah, because they're kind of an expanded thing, so that it's like foam basically. So it does take up a larger area, so they can give you the same weight in a bigger bag.
Hmm.
But yeah, weight wise, they're sort of like, the crisps have been getting smaller weights, smaller weights. The bags are still the same or bigger to make you think you're getting more, and it's just like psychological crap. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm.
What's your favorite crisp?
I quite like the Little's crisps. You know, they're like handmade.
Yeah,
They're pretty good.
yeah.
Um, I mean,
I don't think I've ever had those.
I mean, Walker's sensations are nice, but they play this game of going like, oh, they're a pound, and then they're like £2.50, and then they're a pound again, then they're two pound
Oh,
fifty, and they keep doing that, and it's like, well, I'll buy them when they're a pound. Notice how they sell out when they're a pound, and then they stay on the shelves when they're £2.50. Weird,
I know.
weird, paranormal, you
Yeah,
know.
I've had
Mm,
I've had a couple of them. Yeah, some of the flavors are nice, but yeah, you're right. They are expensive, especially over here when they bring them over here.
mm.
Really expensive. But I got
I thought Walker's might have been an American company somehow, but yeah,
well, Walker's. I believe wasn't it Walker's was bought out by Frito Lay, which is American.
yeah.
Yeah, but they've kept it, I guess, synonymous from Frito Lay, but they kept it because I mean, when you look at it, it looks exactly. When I saw the Walkers, I'm like, hey, is this Frito Lay? They look the same.
Yeah.
The
Well,
logo and everything.
there we are. Walker's was acquired by Frito-Lay,
Yeah,
right? And that is in itself a division of Pepsi. So they're basically crisps are owned by Pepsi. And yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all kind of like, you want this, you're gonna pay. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
It's like that. Well, that's like that here. Like here, it's all Quaker, Pepsi now. What is it? It's Pepsi, Frito Lay's, and most Quaker products, and Gatorade.
Mm,
Gatorade. It's all one big fucking monster company. And oh, hey, look, we'll give you a deal. You buy a big family bag of crisps, well, chips here, and a 6 pack of Gatorade for $12.99. How's that a good fucking deal? Come on, seriously,
yeah.
12. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Hey,
people just need to say, like, we need to avoid these things. We'll just stop buying them until they bring the price down. Because when the market will bear it, the market will buy it. They'll just keep pushing the price up, and it's got nothing to do with how much it costs to produce or transport. It's just like greed. That's all it is greed. And a lot of the markups are done by the supermarkets as well.
mhm,
Like, I mean, a $1 packet of crisps, might only cost them 30 cents,
mhm.
but they'll triple how much it costs by the time it gets to the shelves. Yeah.
Yeah, the companies I find are horrible for that, especially with groceries. They'll tack on a little bit of a extra fee there for them to make a profit because I mean on certain thing margins are fucking narrow. They're just absolutely garbage. I think it's funny because you can like over there in the UK you can walk into you can walk into a grocery store and buy beer.
Yeah.
Like here, they just started doing that in Ontario and Canada. Like Canada, most of Canada has been doing it for years, but Ontario still has a fucking prohibition law, and it's a joke. We weren't able to buy. We had to buy beer in a beer store or a liquor store, and now for the past I think what 5 years now they've started selling uh, beer in grocery stores but the thing is it's still regulated and controlled by the liquor board of Ontario,
Mm,
so all the pricing goes through them. And what happens is the grocery store will carry it, but they have to use the liquor store pricing. So they'll buy whatever through the liquor store, and when it hits the shelf, you're looking at maybe less than I think it's less than a percent margin of profit. It's a joke. And really the only reason why they're carrying it is convenience.
yeah.
Because they find people come in and buy the beer, they'll buy a whole bunch of groceries, one-stop shopping and go home. Right. But they did not anticipate the amount of fucking theft.
Mm,
Theft is incredible. People will walk into the store, grab a 6 pack, walk out of the store, bye, you know, with
yeah.
no resistance.
Well, I think California recently they said that the figure that you could be allowed to steal before it was classed as a misdemeanor, which was punishable, was 900. They raised it from something like $200 to $900, and now you've got masked gangs of youths just literally going into stores and just like helping themselves and running out, like and it's
Yeah.
happening a lot. California is like major for like. But obviously the thefts there are quite. They like stole like £500,000 worth of Gucci bags and you know um was it yeah, various stuff like that, like high end brands, and these guys are just raiding, raiding and raiding, in broad daylight.
Yeah, and it's just getting worse because I mean most places now have a non-pursuit policy,
Mm,
right? You can't interject, you can't stop them, you can't try to tackle them or punch the shit out of them or whatever else,
mm,
right? You're not allowed because you get in more trouble than they do. It's like here in Ontario, if somebody breaks into your house and you beat the shit out of them, or you shoot them or kill them or whatever else, I'm at fucking fault
yeah,
because I'm defending my house. What the fuck?
yeah.
Makes no sense at all. None. What's the point? You know?
Well, if they're armed and your life is under threat, I think you're capable of, sort of probably defending yourself. If somebody's there armed, you can use reasonable force, which would be up to and including the force required to stop them
Yeah.
if they're armed.
Mhm.
But yeah, and there's some places like I think Florida. I saw a video of a 18-year-old kid. He met up with some girls he met online, and the girls tried to hijack his car. And they said, "We got a gun. We got a gun." So there was an altercation. One of the girls tased him, and he managed to get back to the car, open a locked gun safe in the car,
Mhm.
and they were saying, get the gun from the car." So he shot one of them 2 times, and he shot the other girl 3 times. She survived, the one who was shot 3 times, but he let off 7 rounds and he killed one of the girls, the one who was in the
Jeez.
car trying to grab for an alleged gun. And they said they didn't find a gun, but the girls were bluffing. They said, "We've got a gun," and described it. And yeah, he got completely off with that.
Wow.
So yeah, Punches said he saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yes. That's
Mm.
beat him with a flashlight. Mick.
Do you want to see an interesting video? I don't think there's any copyright on this because my mate posted this. Somebody,
Oh,
a
go
friend
for
of
it.
his, posted it to him. This happened just today in Taunton in the UK. It's
Okay,
like an army truck ramming through police vehicles.
go
So
for it.
this is quite new. Have a look at this. Share the system audio. Okay, so make sure the audio's up for you. Hang on.
Fucking taser him. He's lost his mind. Oh, this is terrifying. He's gonna destroy the boat.
Holy crap.
Actually, no, your car was down there. He's gonna fucking ram it again. You're gonna destroy the whole clothing? Oh,
Jesus
oh
mercy.
my god. Oh. Oh no.
Yeah.
No, we can't.
Yeah, and then he's out of there.
Oh,
And
wow.
he did get picked up later on. 41-year-old man was caught then on an overpass going on to like a highway motorway sort of thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Mm,
Incredible.
yeah. And he apparently was smashing cars all around town, and they were trying to roadblock him, but he was just like breaking through the roadblocks. He was just like,
Well,
no.
yeah, when you got that, holy crap.
Yeah.
Holy shit. If you got a
Yeah.
vehicle like that, jeez, there's no stopping it. Well,
Yeah.
there is, but it takes a little bit more than a cop car, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's insane.
Mm.
You're gonna have to get yourself one of those, Matt.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was. What was it? The Killdozer guy. Remember? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Killdozer, yeah.
he literally put a farm vehicle, like a JCB, and he fitted it with metal windows so he couldn't be shot, and a TV camera, so he was literally protected, and he was like destroying houses, going through the town destroying houses, and it was all because the people in that town, the town council, like said, if you don't sell us your house because we want to develop on it, if you don't sell us your house, it's going to be bad for you, and it's like, so they threatened him, and he didn't like that. And then, they basically cut off the road that went to his business. So they cut it off so nobody could come to his business anymore. So basically, like, right, you're out of business now, aren't you? Because we've cut the road off. And he just went, you're fucking mental, you're bastards, and he just destroyed half the town. So there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, but you know what? It doesn't surprise me that people are like that in this day and age. It doesn't, with all the shit that's going on, you know. Somebody who has these these vehicles and these weapons, if you will, and go on a rampage.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, for the most part, most people haven't got a clue what to do because they're not used to that sort of interaction,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, I think I'd keep out of the way.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Put the air sirens on, the air raid sirens. Get people fucking moving. Oh,
Yeah.
that's insane.
But it's kind of funny though, isn't it? Like, people push to the limit. I mean, some people don't need any pushing; they're kind of crazy. But you can understand when people have literally had the council going like, "No, no, 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 we're coming to get you. No, no, no,
Right.
no, no, you can't do nothing about it." And it's like, yeah, you know,
Yeah.
we've had our fair share of psychos, who've gone loopy. There was a guy with subautomatic machine guns.
Yeah.
He went and killed people in Hungerford. It was known as the Hungerford Massacre,
Mhm.
and he started his shooting at somebody's house I know in a forest where we
Oh,
used to have
wow.
parties,
Yeah.
and he riddled the house with bullets, but nobody came out because they slept through it. They slept through his machine gunning their house, and he killed a woman out the back of the house, and then riddled their house with machine gun bullets, and he didn't get a reaction, so he just got in his car and drove into town. And then he had a go at he machine gunned a petrol station. Then he carried on into town, and he was like literally picking people off as he went through the town. Yeah,
Insane.
yeah,
Insane.
that happened just down the road from where I live, not very far.
Do you remember Sky King? What? Okay, no. Sky King. What is Sky King? Tell me. Tell me what Sky King is all about.
Mm,
Do you remember Sky King?
I'm gonna have a look now.
Yeah.
Sky King death. He died age 29 while performing maneuvers in a stolen plane with the intent to end his life. Oh, is that the guy who was pulling stunts in an aircraft? He was a baggage handler or something like that. He was the guy who pushed the aircraft out, or and he just knew how to fly an aircraft. He taught himself, how to do it. So when he was handling one of the aircraft, he just powered it up and just took off, and then was seen doing stunts in a big aircraft, like a big jet, or some sort of aircraft. And yeah, a
Incredible.
Horizon Bombardier Q400 twin engine turboprop.
Wow.
Yeah,
Holy crap.
yeah.
Wow.
Richard Russell, I think his name was. Yeah. He was a ground service operator. That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's what he was. Just says here now. So,
Let me guess, there's got to be some footage out there.
oh yeah,
There's got to be some footage.
yeah, totally.
Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, I'll find a better one than this because that's in portrait, which is a bit silly. So, videos. Sky King. Yeah. Yeah. This is showing some of it. Right. I'll have to mute it because of the copyright of the music.
All right.
But I'll bring it up for you if you want. Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Right. Share. Entire screen, that one shares. Well, I wouldn't need to share system audio, but here he is, flying like doing sort of extreme pull-ups,
Holy crap, eh? Wow.
extreme
Look at that.
banks. I think he might have gone upside down at one point.
Puncher said he does a barrel roll too.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he was talking to people on the radio, and he was saying things like, yeah, I kind of screwed up a little here, haven't I? And they all thought he's going to kill himself, and he did. Yeah.
Jesus. That's fucking insane.
But luckily, he had the sense to kind of crash the aircraft away from houses, so he didn't cause
Yeah.
any more deaths. So
Yeah. Wow. Look at that.
look, he's got a fighter
He's got a fighter. Yeah.
with him. Yeah.
Holy crap.
Look at that bank turn, nosing to the ground. At
So
least
where-
he need to keep his speed up, not to stall it. I mean,
So where was this?
This was in Washington, I think.
Oh, Washington. Wow. Okay.
I could be wrong.
Look at there he goes. Upside down barrel.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oops. Yeah, I'll find out Sky King where he did it.
Alaska Punches is saying he thought.
What was it?
Alaska.
Know your meme. Puget Sound.
Sounds like it might be Alaska, yeah.
Yeah. Puget Sound.
He just dives right into the water.
Yeah, it's a Pacific Northwest inland. It's the U.S. state of Washington. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's the crash.
Seattle.
Yeah. Pretty mad.
Oh
yeah. Well, I could bring it back up. That's just the. Sorry, I didn't know whether there was anything interesting going to be going on. That's the.
No. The crash right here.
Yeah, it's the.
Bebo Russell.
Yeah.
Damn.
Crashed it onto an island, I think. So.
He's a Smurf, yeah. Hey, myself explored. How are you? Yeah, that's insane. People, the extremities that people will go through. It's insane. But I guess that kind of extreme would be high to certain people, wouldn't it? I mean, to be able to freely fly that thing, well, not freely, but you are freely flying it.
Yeah. I mean, people don't realize how easy to steal aircraft are, as well. I mean, if you know what you're doing and you know how to fly, a lot of them don't, just like big jets don't even have keys on them. They just have like start buttons, start engine, and it just fire itself up. There's not even a key.
You fly, right, Matt? You fly,
yeah,
right?
I got a pilot's license. Yeah.
So you'd obviously know how easy it would be to just pick off one of these things and take it off.
Yeah. And I mean, the key on a Cessna or most aircraft, that little key thing is usually you just wiggle a screwdriver and it'll probably turn on. And if you just ripped it off the dashboard, you just hotwire it and just like hotwire it on and then hotwire the start to start it. And then just, there you go.
Jeez. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. But I mean, let's face it, it'd be pretty cool to fly something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be scary if you didn't know how to fly, but I mean, if you knew how to fly, it'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's landing taking off is the easy bit. It's landing is the hard bit.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So something like that, getting, what the wheels of the tires down or whatever, however, like there's a certain you got to land on an angle. How do you got to land? Like, is there a certain
you got to bring yourself down to a speed where it's safe to put the flaps down,
Okay.
and the flaps will allow you to still have lift at lower speeds. But then because there's more drag, you have to increase the power to counteract the drag. But then
Uh,
you'll be coming down slow at an angle, and then you bring your undercarriage out, which increases the drag, so you've got to put more power on. And when you get close to the end of the runway, then you flare and reduce the power, and you basically then you're just bleeding off the airspeed, and
yeah.
you're in ground effect until the wheels touch down, and then you pull back and you keep the nose off until the nose gently wants to come down by itself.
Mhm.
All the while just maintaining the straight line down the center of the runway, which you do with the foot pedals.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
there's some times when I've, flown and yeah, landing has been kind of rough.
yeah, yeah,
It's like, man, this dude is going in pretty fast, and it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like,
yeah.
holy shit.
Well, the reason they come in
Yeah.
faster is if you've got a side wind, if you've got a crosswind,
Yeah.
and the crosswind component means that you need to put the power on. So instead of just gently touching down, they tend to just gun it down and then put on the reverse thrusters because they don't want to use the brakes because it'll wreck your tires if you use the brakes. So they tend to like reverse thrust to slow yourself down and only use the brakes if you have to. But that's technique. You could get an aircraft down if you didn't know the correct technique, but it's like stopping. You might go off the end of the runway if you don't know what you're doing. Or if you put the brakes on, you could use the brakes, but you probably pop the tires and they'll catch on fire and all that sort of stuff because you'll be hammering the brakes on when it's meant to be very, very gentle. So yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane, but I mean that hasn't been the only fucking insanity that people have done to just, I don't know,
Get
make them
away.
get away or make themselves known to everybody. Um I forgot to today. Holy shit, today is like the anniversary 9/11 even.
Wow.
Wow, today's 9/11. Holy crap. I'm just wow.
Mm.
That's what 14
That's
sorry,
amateur piloting skills to
yeah,
perfection. Yeah.
23 years. Holy shit. 23 years. It's amazing how much the world has changed
Yeah.
in 23 years since that happened.
Yeah.
Holy
And
crap.
it's
22 years, sorry.
still just as insecure, but like it's kind of easy if you've got the right knowledge to get an airside pass or fake something that's like an airside pass, and you just pass through security checkpoints and you're not in lines like waiting. So if you're working for the aircraft company, it's been shown how easy it is for somebody to get working airside, or get access to airside and put something into the cargo hold which hasn't gone through any x-rays.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it's been like covered by TV channels, so it's still very insecure. I'm never comfortable when I go flying for that reason, to be honest. Yeah.
I don't think I was I remember I was in New York City the year before 9/11, and I didn't get a chance to go down to the World Trade Center because we didn't really have time. We were actually at a conference in Tarrytown, which is about 40 minutes down the one subway line north of Manhattan, and yeah, just the thought of that happening in the same year I'd be there, it just would have been incredibly fucked up. But for it to happen the year later, it's just like, wow, I was just there like a year ago, not even, you know?
Sort of
Fucking it's
noise.
yeah, yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
Did you ever see anything about the Barefoot Bandit?
The Barefoot Bandit, that sounds familiar.
Yeah, that's a really good one. There's an animated. It's like live, but that has animations in it as well,
Okay.
which is really well done. And I think it's on YouTube. You can watch it. And it's this kid who was like, a little bit of a tearaway, like stealing around town. And then he knew the police were onto him, so he went on the run, and he was stealing cars. I think he was stealing boats and aircraft, and he taught himself how to fly by reading manuals and playing flight simulators. And he was stealing aircraft and then crashing them because he didn't know how to land properly. But he was crashing them, getting away, stealing another boat, going somewhere else, finding an airfield, stealing another aircraft because they're easy to steal,
Mhm.
you know. And yeah, he was flying around and the police couldn't catch up with him. And there were all these sightings of him. Like people were saying, yeah, I saw him. I saw him. And like, then there was people saying, yeah, he was in my house. He stole food. You know, he took food. He didn't, you know, he was just feeding himself.
Holy crap.
Yeah. And he was for months, I think he was on the run. And in the end, they caught him in some far off, like not even in the United States. I think it was like he'd gone on a speedboat out of US jurisdiction or something like that, and they caught him there. Yeah.
Punches was Dan was 15 years old, ready to go to school when I walked out into the living room, and everyone was watching the first building burn. But I saw the second. Yeah, I mean, I was on night shift, and I had just gotten home from work, and my sister-in-law phoned me up and goes, Are you watching the news?" "No, why? What's going on?" "A plane flew into the World Trade Center." I'm like, "What? Come on." So of course I turned on CNN, and I'm watching CNN, and they played it over and over and over and over. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, another plane is, holy shit, another plane, poof, and you're like, okay, this is not cool. There is definitely something going on. There's no way that this is accidental. That a second plane hits. First, maybe, but the second one, come on.
Yeah.
And then automatically your mind runs away and thinks of all these scenarios. I mean, if anybody knows anything about that World Trade Center, of course you're going to think of some really fucking dastardly things, man. Oh God.
Well, on the day that it was happening, I think Donald Rumsfeld was visiting NORAD, and they
Mhm.
were doing an exercise
Yep.
where planes would fly into buildings
Yeah.
just by chance. And
Mhm.
he turned around and said, no, it's just part of the exercise. So they didn't scramble aircraft to intercept, because he said, no, it's just part of the exercise. So he basically called them off,
Yeah.
and that delayed everything that they could have done, because realistically, although it would have been a very hard call to shoot one of the aircraft down, if they were over an unpopulated stretch of like water and they could have shot the aircraft out of the sky, I think it would have been a justified call, because the amount of people that died after the first building had been hit, I think they should have been thinking about taking the second aircraft out of the sky, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Exactly. That's pretty fucking insane. Like I said, you know, and when you watch these things over and over and over and over again, it's like you sit there and go, why am I still watching this? They're showing the same thing over and over. They're talking about the same thing over and over, but you find yourself just fucking glued to the TV because you want something new. You want something updated. Like, why? What the fuck is going on? And then now when like now on YouTube and everything else, you get all these, these unreleased, or these video recordings of people who are just recording that day, that come out of the woodwork. People have found them like 20 odd years later. Oh my God, look what I found. I found it. And it makes its way onto YouTube, and you sit there and watch this and go, wow, it's like watching it live again, over again.
yeah,
From a different person's perspective, other than the news.
yeah,
You know, the fact that somebody was standing on some rooftop somewhere in New York City, in Manhattan, whatever, and they were filming, and they just happened to film this plane and bang, hitting the plane. It looks like it's going to hit oh my God, it hit the World Trade Center.
yeah.
Insane.
And I mean, there was some pretty considering I'm being, considered to be charged with putting obscene images on YouTube, which were like blurred out. Yeah, and then you have On 911, not only did they show the planes hitting, they showed the buildings coming down, but
Yep.
just before that, they showed people jumping out of the
Mm,
building
mhm.
and coming down and coming down.
Yeah.
But apparently, if you're a big TV company, you can show obscene, shocking, offensive images like that. But if you're just a small YouTuber, they're called Matt Williams, they go, "Oh no, you can't show blurry stuff of like dead bodies. No, no, that's offensive.
Mm.
That's against the Broadcasting Act and the Wireless and Telegraphy Act."
I know, eh?
Really?
Come
Yeah.
on.
Well, if that ever gets to court, I'll be bringing some video footage of bodies jumping out of the World Trade Center. And yeah, they were shown on TV. And a lot of other videos as well that are kind of like, oh, wouldn't that cause alarm and distress as well? But if your name's the BBC, you can show it. But if you're me, no, that's against the law. One rule for one rule for another. Mm.
Yeah, yeah, it's did you ever see that documentary Falling Man?
Yeah. James Jameson, email me and let me know, and I'll have a look because there's a few people who say they've been blocked. I had a look for their names recently and I couldn't find them. So yeah, sorry. Yeah, Burning Man. Yeah, the Nevada police officer.
No, 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 no. Falling Man.
Falling Man.
Yeah, it's about one particular individual that had to jump out of one of the windows from the World Trade Center,
Mm,
and it was one of the more popular look at images, showing images on news. You know, one of the guys falling, just the camera's following, following all the way to, you know, and basically the documentary is about trying to find out who that guy was, and
yeah.
they find out, of course, eventually find out who he was, and what they try to investigate why he had to follow jump out. I mean, it's a given why he jumped out. I mean, look at I mean, when you have fire and heat and everything else, I mean, you're not going to stay there. Do you want
Yeah.
to burn alive? I mean, I don't know what's worse. What's worse, burning alive or jumping out a window?
I
I don't
tell you
know,
what,
man.
I've always said if I ever worked in a skyscraper, one thing I would have hidden under my desk would be a parachute.
It's a good idea. Yeah. Yeah.
But not one person had thought of that. I've always said I don't like those buildings. They're death traps.
Yeah.
They're just tinder boxes waiting to go. And people like go, oh no, it's perfectly fine. They've got it all in hand, and it's like, no, they don't. No, they
Yeah.
don't. As you see, they don't. We've seen many, many times.
Yeah. I
You know.
mean, there was another one on YouTube here. I can't remember who put it up. He's interviewing a guy who survived. He was working, I think, on one of the offices about the middle part of the World Trade Center, the first one, and it documents, how, he goes up to work, the plane hits. They don't really know that the plane hits, and then they're told that the plane hits, and they have to try to make their way down. They go down a stairwell, and they're literally going as fast as they can, and then all of a sudden, it starts pancaking. Right, the building starts pancaking, and this guy, is in the stairwell, and is literally, everybody's like crunched, but yet this guy survived the pancaking of the building. And I think a lot of it had to do with the positioning of where he was in the stairwell, with one of the columns. One of the columns, there was, I mean, he was pinned, but it didn't completely crush him because there was some sort of buffer, like what was it, a column that buffered it. It fell sideways as it was being pancaked, and it held everything on top of him, and literally saved his life. And he spent a few weeks in the hospital because he was in pretty bad shape. but he made a full recovery. And it's funny because he pulls out the briefcase. Actually, he lost the briefcase that he had that day. He had his briefcase with him, and he lost it. And I think, what was it, 15 years later or something like that, the fire department returned his briefcase to him. And inside the briefcase, he had a Sony Walkman, right? That he used to use with tapes. And it's like, holy shit. And it still works. It's just really, really odd. These little stories that you hear of, because I mean, when you think of 9/11, most of them are like, oh man, devastating. But there's always, some sort of a feel good story. And that was one of them. So it was, neat to see that, to watch something like that rather than something depressing. So, but insane though. Just think, man, you're in this fucking stairwell of a fucking, skyscraper that's pancaking all the way down after you, and bang, you're knocked out for God knows how long, and then you wake up. Am I alive? Am I alive? Am I still alive? What the hell happened? Wow.
Yeah.
It's
I'll have to
insane.
watch that actually.
It's actually I got to track it down. I can't remember the guy who did it. It's he interviews a whole bunch of really, really cool people that in situations that are just so, like, you would never think of it, and really unique positions. And I can't remember, but I'll track it down if I can find it. I'll send you the link, Matt.
Yeah. The man's name who was falling was Norberto Hernandez. He lived
Yes.
in Queens.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Incredible. Another, like, wow. Just to think, what do you do? Do you burn alive or do you jump out a window?
Yeah. Well, the Mirror only 8 days ago said it's still unsolved, so that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It remains unsolved 22 years. Yeah. So I don't know whether the person who wrote this article is kind of unaware that, attempts have been made to formally identify, but none have proved successful. Grieving relatives suggest he is Jonathan Briley, a sound engineer. And it had also been claimed his name was Norberto Hernandez, a worker from Queens. But yeah. So
insane.
There's still a bit of ambiguity there.
Insane. Yeah, I just I mean, you really just don't know what you would do in a position, because I mean, obviously a lot of us have never had to deal with that kind of position. So, but yeah, insane. I have to grab a refill. Are you okay for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so hold tight. I'll be right back.
No problem. So what's everybody up to then? I'm looking in the chat now. Yeah. I think people tried to tackle the hijacker on that flight. Yeah, this was before they had the high security doors to get into the cockpit, which is kind of crazy when you think about it. They didn't have that prior to some of this stuff, but it just goes to show you how there's a lot of things that go on in aviation that are, a lot more slack than people think. Yeah. And there's all sorts of mistakes that go on with air traffic control as well. Sort of telling people to take off when there's an aircraft on the runway. Yeah, you're clear to take off and shit like that. And not noticing that they're veering off course and going to land at the wrong airport. And the air traffic controller just like, yeah, you're okay. In you come. And it's like, no, they're not at your airport. Like, and they're not noticing. And they've got a radar screen in front of them, and they're. It's just like, yeah, there's loads of mistakes happen. Yeah. 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 One of the planes crashed into a field because the people on the plane bum rushed the hijackers. Yeah, was that the Pittsburgh or Philadelphia or somewhere like that? Yeah, there was one crashed into a field. Yeah, I think there were a total of 4 aircraft hijacked on that day, which is like one is crazy enough, but 4, it just kind of shows you what real problems exist inside the air industry more than they'd like to let you know. Unfortunately, yeah. Well, hey,
Welcome back.
he's back.
Anyone know of Aaron Dover's work taken down back into 2015? Buildings were empty. And that was what, Building 7?
Mm,
I don't know about that.
yeah.
Enough. I'm assuming it's Building 7 he's talking about. What was that, the FBI or CIA building, one of the two?
All right. Okay.
Ritual.
Is that the Unabomber? But that
Oh,
wasn't.
wait. Maybe.
Is
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
what's his name? Aaron Dovers.
yeah.
Let's have a
Haven't
look.
over.
Yeah. So at least he's not bend over. Uh, Aaron Dover. I don't know. Awesome. Yeah, what really happened to Aaron Dover? It's a truth university knowledge that any truther should have to shuffle on his mortal coil. Whatever. What are they saying? What was he killed or did he know? The last flat Earth video from Aaron Dover. Oh, before they killed him. Right. Yeah. I bet he didn't go. Willingly. So Aaron committed suicide by jumping from a 12th floor window. Yeah.
No, the twin towers were empty. Aaron has been deleted. Huh? After the attack, they don't like characteristics. I'm just reading all these comments.
I mean, why would they be empty? It's like it's a normal day of work for some people in those buildings.
There was all sorts of things that are being said about that. The buildings being a white elephant. We need to take care of them. Everything from, what was it, Bush's cousin or something was head of the security or something in one of the buildings in Building 1 or something, did a sweep and cleared the building out. I don't know. I heard something about along those lines, but there's
Just
all
reading up about him now. Yeah. So he was Cambridge educated, apparently.
Yeah.
Worked for banks, including Goldman Sachs, Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse,
fuck.
and he had years of psychotic episodes after smoking loads of cannabis. Which, yeah, I do agree that I've seen some people go crazy smoking cannabis. Yeah.
I had some episodes. I had some really bad episodes. I had to stop. I not that I smoked it a lot, but I mean, there was points when I had to stop. I couldn't do it. It just I think anxiety was just too much, and
Yeah.
I
I'd agree with that one. I feel terribly anxious when I've ever done cannabis. I don't do it.
Yeah, no, I had to quit. I had to stop.
Mm.
I mean, it was different when I was, a teenager in my early 20s. But oh yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
I had to stop.
I can't be in a room with people because I'm thinking like they're talking about me. No, they're not talking about me. Or they're looking at me. No, they're not looking at me. And it's just like all these thoughts, paranoias going through my head, and it's like the only thing I can do is leave. Because it's like I'm like, do I trust these people? Do I not trust these people? And I shouldn't have those thoughts going through my head. You know, it shouldn't be there. You know, and everyone else is like, I smoke weed is really cool. I smoke weed. I'm like bouncing off the fucking walls. Really?
Yeah, I was you know what, for the most part I was a happy go lucky, I would just laugh my ass off, everything was funny, blah blah blah. But I just remember having this sort of really really weird fucking I the only way I can explain it is like a I was high and had a panic attack.
Mm,
And if anyone has ever had anything like that, you know what I mean. It's so fucked up. So when that happened, I said, okay, no, never again, never again. Just no. And I cut it out altogether.
yeah.
I
Um,
cutting out smoking. I mean, I smoked for 15 years
yeah.
and I stopped. I just stopped.
Yeah.
You
Lozzie
know?
said she had a psychotic episode from smoking weed, never touched it since. Yeah.
Yeah. I
And she's
mean,
been smoking it for years, you know. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I was smoking, and not for years, but I was smoking it for quite a bit.
Yeah. People are always trying to coax me, like, you know, go on, have a little bit, you know, just a little bit. And it's like just one puff was like hitting me with like a sledgehammer,
Yeah.
you know?
I love the smell and everything else. It's skunky, but yeah, I just can't.
Mm,
I mean, I had a I guess a period when I was even mushrooms,
mm,
and I was getting shrooms from BC, and those shrooms were just insane. The shrooms from BC, and most likely the dust was probably laced with something. I wouldn't doubt it because yeah, they were pretty fucked up. I'll tell you. And like I said, again, that was just I had one bad experience, and I said, "Fuck this, never again." Nope,
yeah.
never again.
I've had lots of bad trips over the years on
Yeah.
acid and mushrooms and various things, but I mean, it was such a game of Russian roulette
Mm,
with weed. You
mhm.
know, I mean, I would like at the end of the night if I'd been out clubbing, you know, and I'd taken some E and some speed, and I was like really on a high, I could
Yeah.
maybe just like, you know, take a little bit, and then it would still sometimes I'd go out the back and be sick. You know, it would make me sick as well. And yeah,
You got a question here.
yeah. What's my opinion on these strange substances that covered cars recently? Are you talking about like sand, Sahara sand, or something like that? You know,
Saying, wasn't there metal in it? Some sort of metal substance.
I've not really heard about it. I mean, like cars get covered with things all the time. You know, that
Mm.
gets swept up from the Sahara, comes across in clouds, and then gets deposited. Boom. You know, and you think, where's all this sand coming from? It's like, well, it's coming from another continent. Like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well, it's odd though, because I mean, like I know here, because we've had the fires going crazy this past summer, and the winds would be pushing the smoke and soot uh, also close to us, even though it's quite in Quebec. I mean, it's quite a different distance. You're about 500 kilometers, but still. I mean, those winds are going all the way down to fucking to the eastern seaboard, down by New York City. And I'm sure a lot of you seen New York like in total smog because of the smoke from these wildfires in Quebec. But the cars would be fucking littered with this shit. I'd go out in the morning and I literally had to clean the car off. I
yeah,
thought it was like a dusting of snow or something. It was so bad.
yeah,
So, and you have any fucking breathing problems, issues, lung issues, you fucking don't want to be going out in that. I mean, you're breathing that shit in,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Now, there's a time when I'd say it's a good idea to wear a mask, but a proper one. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that brings up a good thing, man. Because I mean, like so like especially when you're urbexing,
mm,
some of these places that you go into. I mean, it's probably quite ideal to be wearing a mask.
Well, some people say, you should wear a mask because of possible asbestos, but in general, asbestos doesn't tend to just keep blowing around in the air. It
It
gets,
settles.
it settles, and
Yeah.
um, you know, occasional exposure to asbestos has never been seen as much of a problem. The real people who've got to worry are people who are working in it every
Mm.
day, and that's why they go to extreme lengths for those people who could, reach very high levels. So apparently they say, like, if you're working on your house and there's asbestos there and you happen to hit some of it, and just kind of like work around it, and people, they say, well, an individual isn't restricted from working on their own house if it has asbestos on it, because an individual is not going to get enough concentrated over a long period of time dose, so it's not considered a worry. But in industrial surroundings where people are working in that environment a lot, that's why they wear the suits, you know? Yeah.
Let's see here. Pedro. Do you have something to say, Pedro? Okay. Going once. Going twice. Sorry, guys.
He'll be back.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to come up, at least say something. I don't care if it's stupid. Is this concrete stuff I'll a cover up for something else, or is it January? Oh, let me just pull this up here. Hold on. So I guess this is in furthering the question he asked earlier.
Well, I mean, it would have been analyzed by now, so they'll know whatever it is. Let's have a look. Dust falls on cars, UK. Let's have a look. Weather presenter explains why cars have dust on them. It's Saharan dust. Yeah, the weather presenter explains why. But it's not concrete. It might look like a dusting of concrete, but it's actually fine sand. So it looks like unmixed concrete, which is like concrete is like a powder, but it's grey, and this stuff would be slightly more yellow and orangey in color. So it's not going to be concrete, because where is concrete going to get blown up into the sky? But the Saharan dust, yeah, it's been happening for years.
It's all good, cop man. More questions, the better. We love them. Questions are fun. No apologies necessary.
Yeah.
Like the hook shape, right, Mick? I'm just reading the chat. Yeah, it's and that's the thing, man. I mean, what, like, these strange little things that are happening. I mean, there's tons of them. Tons of, like, just most people just go, kick it aside and really not paying attention. But it's kind of weird, some of the things that occur, and people don't really have an answer for. Excuse me. And then, obviously this on the cars, but I mean, for instance, strange, like, for instance, here, there was a period when there was one of the creeks here was red. The water was red, and people are going, "Oh my God, what's going on? Why is it red?" And I think what it had to do something with algae and some sort of chemical that had hit the algae, and it turns the algae into red. Or something of those. But again, okay, so why is that chemical in the creek? Because it is it was a natural occurring chemical, or something to do with some of the foliage. Something to do with the roots of certain trees. When they hit the water, and the chemicals sort of leach into the water, it turns the algae red, which is kind of weird. I've never heard of anything like that before. I mean, and it's you sit there and go, okay, so is that real? Most people say that doesn't make sense. I've never seen that before. Those trees have been there forever. Why all of a sudden is the water turning red? Why didn't it do it before? You know?
Well, maybe it did, but I mean, like other discharges, it could have made the water more acidic, so there could be something flowing down into it, which is polluted, which has kind of changed the pH value of the water. And then you add the material, as you say, that's gone in there. And then you got the kind of the perfect soup for it.
Yeah, the perfect soup. Exactly. Would you like some red soup?
Yeah.
Wait a sec.
Yeah.
This looks kind of red.
Yeah, there's been some algae in that.
Some algae in there for sure.
May has asked, when am I going to put a UAP video up? I would like to do it. I've been asking some friends if they want to take part, but I mean, I'm kind of like giving up on some of the usual suspects. I mean, maybe Steve would like to come on and spend 3 hours watching the video and commenting on the UAP Senate hearing.
I would love to.
Yeah, maybe we'll. Yeah, there we are. See, he's just said yes. And this is what I cannot get from other people, and I didn't want to just do it on my own, because I wanted somebody else to kind of like bounce off, if I missed something, or, we could just discuss what does that mean, and, then kind of, what are they saying there? That's the importance of it. So,
yeah, I'm always intrigued with UAP and that whole scenario, especially with what's going on now. I mean, I'm more of a history sort of. I love the historical sort of side of UFO, UAP, whatever. But I mean, even if it isn't a fucking alien, I don't care, because there's some really fucking nefarious shit going on.
yeah.
There really is. And I honestly think, there's, like usual, there's a huge fucking smoke screen going on.
Yeah.
To keep everyone appeased. Oh yeah, we're looking into this shit. We're taking care of it. You're safe. Don't worry. Bullshit.
Yeah.
There's shit going on.
Somebody said, Miles Johnson up for going on. Well, I haven't really asked him, because the thing is, when Miles is so overpowering that probably he would just like be talking over all of us, and probably he would be trying to tell us how it's this and that and crazy stuff, and like crazy stuff and more crazy stuff, and it's like, and I think it might detract a little bit from trying to talk about it from in a slightly more sensible manner. So, yeah.
Okay, so Tony's saying that would be good, Matt. Steve, UFO and Bigfoot. I mean, hey, they kind of go hand in hand if you think about it, right? I mean, they're both very crazy shit. I had I don't know if I ever told you this, Matt, but I had a really, really odd experience. I think it was 2003, somewhere around there, 2003. I was working night shift, and I was walking home. Hey B, how are you? I was walking home, and I was approaching, I had my headset on. I'm listening to whatever. I can't even remember what I was listening to, but I'm walking home, and I approach this bridge that goes over this river. And the bridge is sectioned into partition in between the bridges, because you got one bridge going for the one direction, the other one coming the other direction, and then you had a grassy knoll and then a break in between the bridges. So as I'm approaching the one side, on the far side, this animal comes up from underneath the bridge, walks across on all fours, stops in the grassy knoll. There was a tree there, and he looks at me, and I stop, because I noticed that, okay, what the fuck is that, a coyote? Well, I just thought it was a coyote or something, right? And then all of a sudden it stood up on its hind legs.
No way.
Yeah. So I'm going, okay, wait a sec here. Okay. Okay. And when it stood up on its hind legs, I'm looking at it because there was a tree behind it. It was just a fairly new tree. It wasn't a young tree. It wasn't an older tree. So the tree was probably maybe about 7, 8 feet tall, right? Because they had just planted it not too long ago. And I'm gearing the height of this thing on its hind legs, and I'm going, it's got to be at least 5 feet tall. Has to be. And it's one set of legs are just hanging there, and this thing is just standing there looking at me. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm thinking, what the hell kind of animal in this area can do this?
A
And it
bear?
just
A bear,
no,
perhaps?
no bear. There's no bear here.
But
No
I mean,
bear.
it could have been a rare sighting of a
It,
bear.
it could have been, but it
But
absolutely. But
they're usually fairly obvious by their shape, aren't they?
yes, and
Yeah.
this and the head was just too small to be a bear's head. And I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, canines can stand on their hind legs, but not for this long.
No.
They'd have to get back down. Most animals that I know in this area would have to, jump back down on all fours and just take off after being inquisitive. And it just stood there and stood there. I'm like, holy fuck. I'm an avid hiker. I've run into all sorts of fucking shit, Matt, but I've never run into anything like this. So after about, it had to have been, close to 10 minutes. And then finally it dropped down and just casually walked across in front of me and then back down underneath the bridge that I was about to approach. I'm like, holy fuck.
No camera? I got to
No,
ask.
I wish I had a camera. I had a flip phone that would have been useless in the dark, right? I mean, there were street lights, but I wouldn't be able to. I wish I was able to get a photo, but this thing was just so fucking odd. So, I put this thing in the back of my mind for years, and then because like most people, I just really didn't. Okay, whatever. I was just whatever. And then years later, when I started doing the radio show, I started talking to a good friend of mine who was a writer. She was an author, and she covered a lot of things within the UFO and paranormal sort of realm, cryptozoology, blah blah blah. And she was talking about this kind of stuff, and then it brought up my story, my experience, and I told her about it. And she goes, Steve, can I call you after the show and can you sort of like, you know, tell me more about this? And I said, yeah, absolutely. So, after the show, she called me up and, I'm on the phone with her for a couple of hours and telling her exactly, what I'm telling you and so on and so on. And she goes, are you okay if I write an article? Because she wrote for UFO Digest. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I have yeah. So she wrote an article on it, and no sooner than when it was published, she got a shitload of emails and calls about people who lived in that area who had similar experiences a few years later. And I'm like, wow, that's intriguing that this. So, but anyways, what really, really made it intriguing was I remember doing some research myself on the subject and coming across this news article from a major Toronto paper in 1978 or 79, I think it was. And it was titled the Toronto Tunnel Creature.
Mm.
And it was all about this guy who was walking his dog, and the dog got off the leash and ran into, there was a storm drain close by. So the guy ran in after to grab his dog. Hey Barry, how are you? And he, goes into this drain, and he stops because he sees this creature. Hold on, let me see if I can pull it up. I'll show you the picture I see. Let's see. The artist rendition of what I seen in the paper. Where are we?
Whilst you're looking for it, I mean, is this place where you saw it near to where you live now? You know,
Not to where I live now. I mean, it's
right.
not far, but it's not. It's further. But it was at the time when I was living. Here's the actual.
I'm just thinking, if you ever pass that area again, take a photo of where you think you saw it. You can show that probably what the tree where you saw it, and the tree might have grown up a bit now, so you can kind of estimate that. But it'd just be interesting because you can kind of tie it to an actual location with an actual photo, and it paints a bit more of a picture, isn't it, when you see some photos? Yeah.
Okay. Here you go. Hold on. Let me just. Here's the. Here's the article. 1979.
Oh right. Well, back then.
Yeah, 1979. That's not when I saw it, but this is
Ah.
when this is when it was reported in the paper in Toronto.
Right.
And it had me thinking, because I mean, what I saw was similar.
Yeah.
It was similar to that. Only
So this is the tunnel creature article in 1979, is it?
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So here's the article there.
Cabbage Town. No way.
Yeah, that's a certain area of. Hold on, let me just get rid of this. Get rid of this.
How did that even come up? What the hell?
I don't know. But I don't know if you can see that. If you can make that out, let me see if I can.
Yeah, the orange red eyes. Yeah, it's like.
I never saw that. My experience, I did not see that.
Yeah.
Tony's asking, was it a skinwalker? Yeah, you never know, right? But that's what I saw. Hold on, let me see. The cover photo. That's roughly where. That's Cabbage Town. They're showing you the area. So this is the front. This is the photo. The artist rendition on the front page of the paper. Right.
Yeah.
And he when I saw this, I go, damn, that is roughly what I had experienced with my sort of experience sort of thing. And but no, I didn't see any glowing red eyes, and I can understand the glowing red eyes. I mean, when light hits animals' eyes, they glow red. I mean, that makes sense. But I had never seen that.
And yours, would you describe it as like normal brownie colored fur or something on it, or?
It was just dark. Just dark. I mean, I couldn't, because of the lighting. The only lighting was from the street lights, the street lights. So it was definitely pretty creepy. I mean, like I said, I'd never seen anything like it before. Nothing. So like I said, and I coined it the Credit River creature, because the Credit River is where I'd seen it. That was the name of the river where the bridge I had experienced it. In fact, Matt, you know what? I've got a little YouTube video on it I did years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
You can see the area. Actually, I'll let everyone. I'll put the link in for everyone who wants to watch it if they want to.
Yeah, you could probably fly through on Google Earth, and sort of look on a street map and kind of get a rough, like, this is where I was on the road as well.
So hold on. And again, this was done. The video itself was actually done quite a while ago. I think it was in 2009, but I only uploaded it. But here's the link for everyone who wants to check it out. But there you go. You can check it out there later on if you want.
Right.
And basically, I'm on scene of where it happened. with
Mm.
my co-host Alex and somebody else, Frank. But yeah, Matt, totally fucking weird.
Okay, here's I got to be, you try not to lead with some of these questions, but I mean, like, what was going through your head when you were looking at this? What was your kind of state of mind? Were you calm? Were you excited? Were you curious? What was what?
Well, curiosity, obviously, because like I said, I'm an avid hiker,
Mm,
and I trail run. I mean, I haven't so much in the last couple of years, but I trail run, I hike, and I've stumbled upon all sorts of animals,
mm,
and I generally know how to react and behave around a lot of these animals because most of the time they won't bother you. They won't bother you at all. They're just inquisitive, especially if they're by themselves. I mean, it's a little different if there's a pack of them or whatever. But you know, I I was just really inquisitive. I'm like, my mindset was okay. It was like cataloging all the animals that I can think of in that area and what this could possibly be. Right?
going through all the
Yeah,
possibilities. Yeah,
all the possibilities, and it nothing just jived. Nothing made sense.
yeah. I mean, I know. I'm just looking for like possible rational ones, so we go through it. But I mean, some people have reported that sick bears can look emaciated, so they don't look like a normal bear. They can actually look quite thin, and sometimes, they even if they've lost their fur or the fur is falling out,
Yeah,
then it will actually make them look a lot smaller. Like you said, the head was small. You know. But then, you even have them, they've completely lost all their fur and they just look like a bag of skin. So they
yeah.
look like a naked human walking around, and that has been known to happen.
Yeah,
But
like I my initial thoughts were, look at this, maybe it's hungry, it's sick, and I'm thinking, okay, what is this? But I mean, Matt, when this thing stood up, it just if it was sick, if it was hungry, it wouldn't be able to stand up for that long. I
mm,
don't think. It just to me it just didn't make any sense.
yeah,
You know? It just didn't make any sense.
yeah.
You know?
Well, dollars and cents.
Yeah, dollars and cents.
It didn't make you rich. Yeah.
Didn't make me rich, no. Nor did I seek any money. But I mean, I think I was more intrigued after a while to see if anybody else had that kind of experience with something similar.
Mm,
And like it kicked off with doing that little nocturnal night shots episode that I posted link to. You guys can see the area where I spotted this thing. But I had all sorts of people on, like people who research crypto creatures,
mm-hmm.
and I talked to them about it. And you get all sorts of answers. Dog man, I think was the biggest one.
I
Dog man.
didn't. I'm glad you said it, as I didn't want to suggest it to see if you kind of led down that avenue.
Yeah,
But yeah.
no, I mean that was one of the big things because I mean dogmen, if anybody knows, dogmen are primarily concentrated to Michigan, the state of Michigan. I mean they're all over the place, but I mean most sightings have been in the state of Michigan, and Michigan is right next door to Ontario. So I mean, yeah, there's
Mm,
definitely a chance that if it is a reality that they're here too. But I mean, whatever. I mean, it could be anything. Like I said, until I know for certain what it is, you know,
Did you get a reflection back from the eyes because you had your car headlights on or the street lights? Any sort of like
nothing,
glow?
nothing.
No.
No, I just saw this silhouette. I saw primarily with a silhouette with a little bit of light texturing on the outside of the body, and I could not really see any sort of facial features because, like I said, it was dark. The street light, the closest street light was in behind. both of them was in behind on the bridge. So I mean, it was just absolutely fucking crazy. You know,
Did it
I
did it stand in place for the whole 10 minutes or did it move?
move, just stood there,
Stood.
just
Yeah.
stood there, like
Mm,
like like a statue. It just stood there. It might have wavered a little bit, but not much, but almost like a statue.
yeah. Well, a good stealth tactic, and I tell people this: if you're ever somewhere and you've got somebody staring at you, stand still, because you blend in. Whereas things that are moving against another surface, your eye picks that up straight away. It picks up movement more than it picks up the shape of an object. So literally, we've kind of managed to dodge being caught just by standing still, and
Mm,
very, very, very slowly ducking down, but like over a period of a minute ducking down, not don't do anything quick. It's amazing how that can kind of hide you. But I mean, what's interesting to me is why would something walking on all fours then get up and stay stood for 10 minutes? Now I'm thinking, you know about cryptids,
mhm,
and something that comes to mind hearing this story is that people who often see cryptids,
mhm.
like big cats, but they turn out not to be a big cat because
Yeah.
they shape shift into something else, and dog men, which like seem to come along on all fours and stand up and walk, and they look like a wolf, and things, the dog
Mhm,
men. Um, they often report that the people who see these things are kind of like they felt drawn to
mm,
kind of like look at it.
yeah.
So I'm wondering, because you were kind of, you're quite psychically open, and I think these creatures are aware of people who are more psychically open. I've heard this discussed quite a few times.
Mm, yeah.
Some people even believe that they've seen multiple instances of these things, and it's almost like the thing wants you to look at an area, and then it comes into view. It shows itself.
Mm.
It wants you to look at it, and it's kind of like picking up the fact that you're watching it, so it's watching you, you're watching it, and it knows. So there's an intelligence there, you know.
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I
That's why I was
mean,
asking you how you felt. What thoughts were
I
going through your mind, because that can
yeah,
be interesting.
it's just it's just really weird because, like I said, I just remember, minding my own business, just listening to whatever I was listening to, and my focus was okay. I got a little while to walk home. Beautiful night out. I think it was August.
Oh, you were
Uh,
walking. Sorry, I thought you were
oh
in a
yeah,
car
no,
and
no,
pulled
no, no,
over.
no,
All
no,
right,
no. I was walking. I was walking. It was
right.
it was it was a beautiful summer evening, late summer evening,
Mm.
and I was walking home, and like I said, I had my headset on, and all of a sudden, bang! Like I said, out of the corner of my eye, see this thing coming up from the other side of the other bridge, and just making its way into the grassy knoll, the grassy medium, where the tree was, and bang, it's standing up, and I'm like, what the fuck? you know and like I said, I've encountered lots of animals while trail running or trail or hiking or whatever else, and I just stood there and just trying to categorize this thing that I'm witnessing. I'm like, it just doesn't make any sense. I couldn't make any sense of it.
I mean, another thought comes into mind. I mean, it might have been somebody on all fours trying to avoid being spotted and detected. Once they realized, they're looking at me, they just stood up. You know,
Could it be a wild child?
you know,
Could
possibly.
could could it be a human raised in the wild? I mean, there's like I said, Matt, there all sorts of things, played out in my mind especially over the years, right?
Hmm.
What made you think it was an animal, Steve? I mean, because it ran on all fours like a canine, right?
So you think that it was the gait was not necessarily a human in that position?
No, I mean, like I said, I initially thought it was like a coyote, perhaps a coyote, because there's lots of coyotes in that area, and the size of it kind of looked like a coyote, and I'm like, okay, it's a coyote, whatever. It's just crossing over and going back down. But then when, like I said, when it stopped and it looked over at me and saw me and got up on its hind legs and just stood there for like almost 10 minutes just staring at me. It was like a fucking Western standoff. It was just so insane. Oh, okay. Who's going to flinch first? You know, who's going to flinch? Who's going to draw their gun first? It was so insane. And then finally it just gave up, went down, and just trotted off. You know, weird.
Mm.
But a coyote or any canine that I can think of cannot stand on their hind legs for that long.
And if it was a human, I doubt a human would have then decided to go back to being on all fours because you've been spotted. So what's the point? You know, if it was trying to avoid detection, why would you then, go up for 10 minutes and then drop back down and crawl away?
Exactly. And it's not like we haven't seen humans act like canines. I mean, there's some people out there that can run around like fucking canines and whatever else. It's just really weird how they do it. And there's lots of videos on YouTube where you can witness it. But yeah, this was just so fluent. It just to me just seemed just like a canine, like a coyote, or a stray dog maybe, but no, it just didn't make any sense. It was weird, insane.
Mm. Well, I shall watch your video with interest.
Yeah, the quality is not the best. Like I said, it was done. Oh God, 2009, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a great set of videos. You do have to sort of rent a lot of them because they're, unless you find a place to download them, they're not necessarily on YouTube. But there's a company called Small Town Monsters
Hmm.
that produce a lot of good stuff on Bigfoot, Dogman, and sort of like strange sightings, UFOs, all sorts of stuff, small town monsters. And they're really good because they just do these like extended interview pieces with various people, but they don't overcrowd it and they don't whiz it. It's kind of a little bit more sedate pace.
Yeah,
And yeah, they're good. So if anybody wants to watch some of that stuff as well, I would recommend them. They're very good.
small town. Yeah, I do recall them. I do
Yeah.
recall them. Actually, when I had my web scene up years ago, I do remember them. Um, Interacting with them a few times, but yeah, it's pretty insane. Like I said, I've never. I mean, I've experienced some pretty weird shit in my life, but that's definitely probably one of the weirdest moments of all of them. Definitely, you know. I mean, I've seen what I think is UFOs, but I mean, again, because of when I saw it, the technology just sucked. I got video of it, but the video is just absolutely horrendous. You can't really make. Hold on. There must be all sorts of weirdness living in the wilds of Canada. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you figure 90% of the Canadian population lives along the US border. So, I mean, you think there's like literally thousands upon thousands of acres of fucking, woods and, you know, open,
Millions more like probably,
yeah,
yeah.
millions, just literally. The boreal forest is the largest in the world. So you just think there's all sorts of shit up there. And I mean, even when you talk about Canadian UFO experiences, a lot of them are in places where you're like, holy shit. In Canada, I mean, Ontario has a shitload, but Northern Ontario has a crap load. And you know what? I find the ones in Northern Ontario to be the most, I don't know, uh, weirdest, just to me, the most intriguing UFO experiences out there, I think. You know, it's like the equivalent of what is it, Randlesham, and
Hmm.
there in the UK. Like, I mean, some pretty weird stuff that happens. Because I mean, what's that area like where that happened in the UK?
Well, it's mostly grown up into thick forest now,
Yeah.
and it didn't used to be like that in the past. There
Oh,
were
really?
large areas were kind of a lot more open, which
Oh.
is yeah. So there were little clumps of forest, but now I mean a hell of a lot of it is forested. You used to be able to see from the back of the airbase, practically, I think, to this lighthouse, which has been used as an excuse, which I don't think it was a lighthouse because anyone who lived in the area would be very, very familiar with seeing the lighthouse all the time. So for them to turn around and say, oh yeah, look at this light, let's go out into the forest, and it's like they would have known it was a lighthouse. It's nonsense. And then that wouldn't explain, the craft thing that came down, the Capel Green incident where it was like something appeared in a field when military people were watching it, and all these things, and lights being shone down into the nuclear silos at the base, where they're keeping nuclear weapons.
Hmm.
Um, it's just too much variance and too many stories to kind of say, oh yeah, lighthouse. It's just a light from a lighthouse. No, I don't think so. I think there's something definitely went on, and you had a lot of people, including the deputy base commander, talking about having seen this stuff, and you know not wanting to talk about the nuclear stuff, but kind of hinting at that, but not coming out and saying it because it's still something they don't like to talk about where they store weapons.
Well, isn't there's a documentary in the works right now, isn't there?
They're supposed to be, yeah. I mean, I rubbed some people who are supposedly producing this documentary up the wrong way by,
Yeah.
suggesting, well, it's been taking years, to produce this documentary. I mean, we're probably like 3 or 4 years now. We've been waiting for it. So where is it?
Mm.
And what's the problem? And some people have been interviewed for it, but like nothing's really coming forward. I don't know what the problem is, where they seem to think that, oh, we need money before we can edit this. Well, it's like you don't need money to go and film people, and all you need is a car and a camera, and then what you do is you edit it, which you don't need a lot of money. You just need somebody who knows how to edit,
Mm.
you know, and
I personally, I can't stand when they overdo it with these
mm,
documentaries. I find when you're more of a grassroots sort of approach to these documentaries, I think they're more interesting.
yeah.
You
And I
know,
mean, they might be like, we need money because we want to put special effects and CGI.
ah,
Well, if you can't afford that, there's ways to do it with shining a light
yeah,
to the camera and then like superimposing that, and you can make a UFO dance around and stuff. You don't need to have CGI, but there are people out there who do CGI work,
mm,
and they would probably, if you ask them nicely, produce some graphics for you for free because there's people out there
absolutely.
who make CGI stuff for free.
Well, yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know?
exactly. Come on, guys, you do remember the movie Plan 9 from outer space, do you?
Yeah,
You want to talk about bottom of the barrel effects, right?
yeah. Yeah, like a spacecraft with a curtain in it and stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but Matt, I've always been like, when it comes to the paranormal, I've always been the grassroots kind of person with it. I find that to me, it's more intriguing when you have that grassroots sort of approach.
Mm,
um Everything from researching to investigating and so on and so on. Yeah, you have a lot of tools and trinkets and parlor tricks that are pretty neat. Oh, this is cool to have, but I mean, i think i think I think really, um and yeah, we're fallible. I mean, humans are fallible, obviously, but at the same time, I think we're probably the most reliable um for personal experiences, because I get it. Personal experiences don't really count as evidence, because it's a personal experience, but it's different when you have multiple people.
Yeah, I think multiple witness sightings are
Yeah.
definitely, harder to kind of dismiss.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is often mentioned, but I'll mention it now, but people do keep on pointing out that a witness in a court case is enough to put somebody in jail for murder. So why is a witness that sees something weird to be dismissed? Just saying. Yeah.
Moment of Contact is very good. Enjoyed it a lot. Either of you seen it? Have you seen it, Matt?
Yeah, that's about the Varginha, Brazil aliens running through a village and seen by lots of people, and then
Oh wow.
collected by the military. And I heard this story, 20 odd years ago,
I remember the story. Yeah.
but I didn't realize how much depth there was to it until I watched that Moment of Contact, because it was kind of just one of these news UFO magazine type stories. And I've even seen some of the investigators of that case actually on stage, talking about the case. So yeah, interesting.
I'll have to check that out. Yeah, yeah. No, I haven't seen that. So thanks for bringing that up. I'll have to check it out. A good friend of mine, he was the producer of excuse me, of a TV series called Beyond.
Hmm.
That ran on a few stations in the US and here in Canada. And he did an episode and in fact, NBC wouldn't run the episode when they bought the series, the rights to broadcast the series. They wouldn't play this the one episode because the episode dealt with human mutilation,
Mm.
and of course that was like a taboo sort of thing in the UFO community for years. And the particular case that he centered on was a case from the 80s. I believe it was the late 80s
Hmm.
in Brazil. And
Yeah.
do you know which case I'm talking about, Matt?
I was going to say, there's a lot of stuff in South America, human mutilations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this particular case of a body being found by a beach, and that had been literally cored, all the organs taken, and all the incisions that were made were clean cut. They couldn't understand how this person or whatever, how what happened to this person, other than, okay, look at human mutilation by kind of like soaking it in or lumping it into the same sort of thing as cattle mutilation, if you will, but
Hmm.
on a human sort of plateau. And when you looked at the police photos, the crime scene photos of this, and I know they're probably out there somewhere still, but they're pretty disturbing.
Mm.
They are pretty disturbing, but at the same time, they're very eerie. To think who would take the time to do what they did to this particular person.
Well, there was some kind of discussions about some photos that were coming forward when a lot of this human mutilation stuff was being discussed, and they did actually say that in South America there is a kind of gang phenomena
Yeah.
of mutilating bodies. When they kill
Okay.
you, if you're not liked by the gang or you
Mhm.
owe them money or something, they go and kill you. But they do things like cutting off the hands, taking
Okay.
the skin off the face, so it's just
Oh yeah.
exposed bone. But it's kind of recognizable type kind of tactics, and it's obviously not going to be laser precision. It's going to be
No.
cut with a knife.
Mhm.
So there seems to be a difference between some of these cases where it's very cleanly excised, no blood and all this sort of stuff. There seems to be a marked difference, but I mean that has been put forward as possibly where some of these photos have come from. There is a propensity in some, like I used to have a lot of respect for Linda Moulton, how you loved the cattle mutilation stuff she was
Mhm.
doing. Then I
Yeah.
kind of got to meet her, and I realized that, like, she's not a straight player. She doesn't exactly tell things
No.
how they are,
No. No.
and she likes a bit of spin. And she's credited as being one of the main researchers on this type of stuff. But talking about Brazil, and I was literally going to bring up another case which is a bit more recent, which you may have heard of. But Jack Valet,
Yeah.
he's done a lot of stuff about the rainforests and Brazil, and talking about UFOs that would hover and go through the trees, and some of these like hunters would actually hide in the trees, from these things,
Yeah.
and they would be levitating through the trees, and some of them would be hitting them with a light beam and putting radiation burns on them,
Oh, wow.
and they described them. It was almost like a refrigerator, a floating refrigerator. They would be silently moving through the forest and then would find the person and then beam them,
Yeah.
hit them with a beam.
There was a case.
Yeah.
I remember there was a case in Pennsylvania, somewhere in Pennsylvania, of a guy, a farmer, who was missing for a day and a half, 2 days. And they literally found him up in a tree, stark naked, clothes taken off, and cord.
Hmm.
And they're like, how the hell did this guy get up this far up in the tree in that state?
Yeah.
They couldn't understand it. It just
Almost
didn't
like
make.
the predator has lifted him up there,
Yeah, it's just
'cause
insane.
you'd have to be very, very strong to lift a body and climb a tree.
Well, yeah.
So would you be saying then there's more than one person involved and ropes and, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense, does it?
And
Starts to
the cuts precision. Tony's mentioning, the hikers in Russia years ago. Yeah. What is it? Davidov.
Are they the ones that went into the wilderness when it was snowing though?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it was kind of a fairly obvious conclusion as to what would happen to you if you tried to do what they were doing. But
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was that's pretty bizarre case too. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of scenarios that have been put into it that I don't know. I believe, but I don't believe. But whatever.
Have you heard about the recent spate of incidents which have been happening in the Amazon rainforest?
No.
Locals have been reporting seeing grey aliens and also creatures that look a little bit like the Green Goblin. I think has been described. Like these Amazonians have seen the movie Green Goblin and say that's what it looks like.
Really?
Something dressed like the Green Goblin, looks like it's got an armor on it, an armor suit, but with a grey alien face or a unusual looking. But the strangest properties about these creatures are that they levitate. They've got boots on, and they've got glowing red rings around the boots, and they levitate and they float
That's
through
crazy.
the trees.
Yeah, no, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah. Now the
Wow.
the locals have been terrorized by these things, which have been like coming up on their villages and attacking people. There's been a few people, including there's video of a girl that was like had her neck gripped by one of these things and caused like marks on the neck and had to be treated. They've even brought in the National Guard to kind of protect these areas. Now, the immediate kind of explanation which some have come out with is that there are mining companies, rogue mining companies, that don't want these local villagers living in that part of the forest because they want to clear it out. And they're saying that they're putting on masks and trying to scare the villagers. But it's like, that's a dangerous game because these villagers have got guns and rifles and they are shooting. They're shooting at the aliens. So you're playing a fucking dangerous game there. If you're like, oh, I'm dressed up as an alien, but like, oh yeah, what you got bulletproof head? Have you?
You're asking for
So
trouble. Yeah.
yeah, that kind of seems a bit strange. Like all the villagers now are armed to the teeth. The military are in there, and there's even been video footage which is not easy to see. Really, it's kind of hard. But they're saying there's one now in the trees. It's in the trees. Not on the ground, in the air. It's like up there in a tree. Why would somebody be in a tree? It's like you're a sitting target. And yeah, it's all that's been kicking off in the Amazon. So yeah.
What I don't know about this one.
Yeah, that's
are you familiar with this one?
Yeah. Well, the Ariel School UFO Africa thing.
Yeah.
There was, I think, that one and one in Australia, which happened, I think, around a similar time frame. And also there was a UFOs are landing and
Mhm.
showing, the occupants are showing themselves to
Oh,
school
wow.
children, and it
Oh, no
happened
way.
within a short space of time. They were landing near schools, showing themselves to the school children. The school teacher and the children have all kind of kept to their stories. Nobody's kind of like said, "Oh yeah, we just made this up." They all remember it. There's lots and lots of people. They were just school children, so they're adults now. They all stick to their story. They've been re-interviewed, many times on it, and it's
S
all the same story.
So when did
But
this happen roughly?
I'll find out for you now. But I mean, there was West Wales had one as well. I mean, a school in West Wales, a UFO
Oh,
landed
wow,
outside the
okay.
school, and people saw this stuff. So it's
So
aerial
what? So why
UFO.
schools? That's
Um,
why schools then?
yeah, yeah. Oh dear, spastics are in the house. Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
That took you a while. Jesus, it was on September the 16th, 1994.
oh, okay.
Outside Rua in Zimbabwe, 62 pupils at the Ariel school between 6 and 12 said they saw a UFO.
Wow.
So let me see if I can find out. There was one in Australia, Australia UFO Children School. Yeah, Australia Children, Westall UFO. And it was on the 6th of April, 1966. Hang on then. Maybe this is a bit earlier then. Students and a teacher from Westall High School, now Westall, reported seeing a flying object. Approximately 20 minutes, the object reappeared, climbed. That's maybe not the one I'm thinking about. Yeah. In 1994, that's a Zimbabwe one. In 1966, over 300 children and staff from a Melbourne school. So it was 1966. So that's that one. But what about the West Wales one? Because I'm sure that one of them was like the same time frame. So West Wales UFO school children.
Yeah,
Broadhaven. No, it's 1977. So no, it's not the
wow.
same time. Yeah, 1977.
But still, holy crap.
14 school children who always stuck to their story. I thought there was another one. I
There
swear that,
probably is. And
yeah,
that's the weird thing. Why schools?
yeah,
Why is it because they're children and that they can be, manipulated? Why children?
yeah, yeah.
That's insane.
Let me bring up like a photo of one of the guys now that
Okay.
he's obviously grown up, but that was him as a slightly overweight kid, and David
Oh,
Davies,
yeah.
and this is him grown up. And he says it's gone on to dominate his life because, I mean, it's something you don't forget, is it?
Well, no, because
Yeah.
people are constantly asking you about this situation.
Yeah.
What do you remember? What is your experience? And they poke and prod you for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And it gave off heat. The faces felt burnt from looking at it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy,
There
man.
were burn marks in the field, 2 inches of burnt ground. Yeah. So there's all the different drawings
The
and
drawings that the kids did.
yeah.
And they're
And
relatively the same, except for, the one that
yeah.
kind of looks like our.
Well, it's got peaking ears like you'd have on
Yeah,
a
yeah,
wolf or something like that,
yeah. And
which is
this one's from 1977. Wow.
yeah,
That's insane. I
yeah,
should look to see if I can find something that maybe happening here.
yeah.
There's a Netflix documentary about the African one.
Hmm.
B saying.
Yeah,
I'll have to check that out. Oh my god, all these things I have to check out.
yeah. I
Oh,
mean, there's a good book on the West Wales Triangle. They used to call it the
yeah.
Broadhaven Triangle or the Welsh Triangle. And
Okay.
there was an area where they were having a lot of sightings, and it was obviously in the 70s and 80s. And I spoke to one of the authors of he was actually a vet, Randall Jones Pugh. and he never really did many extended interviews, but he actually went from believing that it was aliens and UFOs and
Mhm.
started believing it was demonic and became highly Christian and used to tell people
Oh, wow.
don't associate yourself with it, it's demonic.
Wow, yeah.
But yeah.
Tony goes, kids haven't got guns. I don't think that's it. It's guns. Really? Do you really think guns would do any damage with these things? Probably not.
Mm,
No, I don't think guns. I think it's just these kids are easy to manipulate. I don't want to say manipulate, but influence.
yeah,
Influence and perhaps share a message, because I mean kids aren't filtered like adults are. You know what I mean,
yeah,
Matt? It's like
yeah,
when kids have their imaginary friends, and they tend to have these experiences when they're kids. It's because they don't have all these filters in place yet.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
there was a sighting that happened in Miami, Florida, where over 2 days, professors and the school children both observed a UFO in the school's backyard.
Wow.
So, and Joe Rogan Experience (JRE) was speaking to James Fox,
Yeah.
who did the Brazil Varginha aliens were captured by the government and taken away.
Yeah.
That was talked about, and he goes into it's called on, if you want to look up on YouTube, it's called "The Story of Children in Zimbabwe Encountering a UFO."
Wow.
It's from 2 years ago,
Okay.
but yeah, I think Jack Valet is in this as well, because I
Yeah.
think it's not just James Fox. Uh, Jack Valet is in the studio at the same
Oh,
time as James
wow.
Fox.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
That
you
is
know,
cool.
so he's going to be probably telling you about the stuff in the forest. I've read his book, so I've before he'd been on the Joe Rogan Experience. But I
Yeah.
mean, there's no bigger expert in the world on speaking to diverse parts of the world to get
Then
their
Jack Valet.
experiences than Jack Valet. And
Exactly.
this was a time when UFO magazines were not really on the shelves. Not many TV programs were on about this sort of stuff,
Yeah. Yeah.
and really it was kind of like specialist books. So he was going around and collecting the stories, and what he was finding is it was interesting how people's experiences were very similar. And that's what he was drawing the conclusion, that it was a worldwide phenomena that people were experiencing that had some validity, because how would they be picking up on these stories? They wouldn't know about what was going on the other side of the planet with UFOs, people having similar experiences. So
It's insane.
compelling,
Insane. Yeah,
compelling.
compelling is, yeah, exactly. That's proper terminology, compelling, because
Yeah.
wow.
And Jacques
Uh,
Vallée, by the way, not only a brilliant author and a scientist by profession, he's a very, very bright bloke. He speaks a whole host of languages. He's a
mhm.
really intelligent bloke. But he's the guy they based the character in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
One of the
do remember.
characters who speaks French, yeah, which was played by Francois Truffaut, I think it was,
Yeah, I think
uh,
you're right. Yep.
who's a very famous French actor, and he was there with the interpreter, who was Bob Balaban, was the interpreter, and he was saying, "What did you see? Tell me, what did you see? What did you tell me? What it looked like?" And he was
Mhm.
trying, and the guy's interpreting, yeah, yeah, for him, and he's the
Um,
UFO hunter in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
yeah, imagine
Yeah,
having an experience like that when you're a kid.
yeah,
That'd be insane. I mean, how, like, showing the photo of that guy earlier, and how it's affected his life. I mean, that would affect you profoundly,
yeah,
to the fact that, okay, I don't know about you, Matt, but you would be questioning reality
yeah.
on a whole different fucking level.
Yeah, when I saw my UFO, it just started me on that road, and I've never stopped. I've always been
Yeah.
interested in researching it, but I kind of like, taking a back seat, just like watching from a distance now, and soaking it up. But I mean, there's a lot of good information out there. People maybe not
Lots of
aware of
great.
just how, involved some of these books onto UFOs, and how far this rabbit hole goes,
Why?
you
How
know?
how old were you when you first experienced a UFO?
Well, I think I was about 19 when I was driving
Oh,
across that
okay.
mountain road and saw that triangular shaped, like shimmering orangey thing, and I thought it was a forest fire,
Oh,
at
okay.
first. But
Yeah.
then I was like looking at the road and looking back at it, and sort of having to drive at the same time. So I was like, obviously, kind of keep my eye on the road, and then this thing got obscured by trees. So I stopped the car and I reversed back up, and it had gone. So
Wow.
it was a very fleeting sighting of maybe only about 10 seconds or something like that. But that was enough to start me off because I didn't remember having seen it for 5 days. And then it
Wow.
dawned on me that I'd seen something 5 days ago. And I'm like, why am I thinking about this now?
Yeah,
Why am I
yeah,
thinking about this
exactly.
now? It's almost like something had kind of like buffered me and shielded me from the memory of what I'd seen that night. And it was so patently obvious what I'd seen that night,
It's
you know?
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Yeah, exactly. Split seconds can define a whole lifetime,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, I had an experience. But it's funny because there's a lot of people who, oh yeah, I had some weird thing happen, but it was nothing. And then there are people, oh yeah, I had this weird experience, and they'll try to dive as much as possible into it to try to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's probably 1%, where most people just say, oh, whatever, and that's it. Never think about it again, unless you're at a party or something. Hey, you ever had a weird experience? Oh yeah, I remember one time I was drunk, and that was probably this. You know?
Yeah. I drove to a very famous hill in the area where the crop circles appear, and it's not something you can normally get to. And I managed to get my car on top of this hill to do a sky watch that night. And we were just sitting there facing north. But in the rear view of my car, I saw like a headlight. It looked like, like a little headlight in the rear mirror. And then it got sort of brighter. So, kind of like not really taking an awful lot of notice. It was getting bigger and brighter. But like at a close encounters, it's like,
Yeah.
hello. And
Mhm.
I said to my friend, I said, what's this? We both got out of the car. My friend was there. We were facing north. This thing was south of us. So we got out and we literally went round to the back of my car and we were like standing shoulder to shoulder. Like I was holding him on the shoulder. I was saying, what the fuck is this? And this thing got massive in the sky. It was absolutely huge. It wasn't a flare. I'm
Yeah.
very used to what flares look
Yeah.
like.
Yeah. Yeah.
This thing was fucking huge. And I reached back inside the car and got a pair of binoculars. And I was looking into it. It was just such a large thing in the sky. I was looking into it, and I saw like a line, but I couldn't see that line when I took the binoculars away. There's a line going through it, which was weird. And I did it a few times, and I was like, "There's a fucking line going through it." And I said, "Well, it's not a missile. It's not a rocket. It's not a flare." And we were just reeling off what it could and couldn't be, and we were just like gobsmacked, like that,
Mm.
you know you're frozen because you're kind of
Yeah.
like not
Yeah.
functioning properly because
I
you
can't
just
get my camera to take a picture.
yeah. And
Yeah.
in the car we had a video camera which I brought there in case we had a sighting, but we were so like standing
Mm.
there like my hand on his shoulder, like, and Andy Russell remembers this experience. He's become a journalist for South Wales newspaper. He
Oh
remembers
wow.
this
Okay.
experience. And but anyway, the weird thing was it started to sort of like diminish, and then all of a sudden it was poof, gone.
Gone.
Gone,
Wow.
right?
Wow.
And it was like it diminished a little bit, boom, gone. And the funny thing is that I would have expected something that was that big and that bright to have left like a bit of an indelible, like an indelible image on your eye that
Mhm.
kind of fades away.
Yeah.
But like all of a sudden it was gone, and we were standing like, what? Where's it gone? What just happened?
And
Where's
no
it gone?
ghosting in your vision or anything like that. It was just
No,
gone.
it's just gone
Wow.
immediately. And that was weird because it almost felt like as if we'd snapped back somehow, like something that didn't seem correct, like it
So
just
was
didn't seem right,
so was there any time loss or anything like that?
not that I could
No.
think of, but like that evening I remember military helicopters were converging on the Salisbury plain, and I did get the video camera out then and filmed a lot of these UFOs, and there were things that were dropping out from the bottom at high speed, like going boop down to the ground, then curving back up and hovering,
Yeah.
which was weird. Like, because what would you drop out of the side of a helicopter would jump down, curve, and come back up and hover. and we were filming this, and that is exactly the same thing. Comes out, drops, curves, comes back up. That was being filmed in Pensacola, Florida, when what's his name was having his sightings there. You know, the famous sightings in Pensacola. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I forget the name now. Have
I
a look.
can't. I don't know, but
Yeah,
Matt, I'm gonna have to close this off. But I want to do this again. I've thoroughly enjoyed this.
yeah.
I would love to do this again. You know, just do like UAP, UFO, strange sort of thing. I'd love to do this
Yeah.
again, Matt.
Ed Walters.
Ed Walters, yes,
Yeah.
I do recall Ed Walters now. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it's an interesting subject. I mean, I could talk for a long time on some of these things, but it would
Well,
be good to do the thing on the Senate hearing. You know, like disassembling what we're seeing there and some of the things that are being kind of thrown in the air. You know.
you let me know, and I definitely will try to make time and do it, buddy.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Well, nice to speak to you.
You too, Matt.
Okay. We'll
Guys,
take it easy.
everybody in chat, thank you for watching, and take care, and we'll see you the next time.
Cheers, folks.
Cheers.